I bet. Welcome back to another episode of Toxiris Discovers. Once again, very late. At this point, I'm not even gonna say anything except that I'll try to do better next time. But I said that like a million times now, so I don't know. Anyways, we got the episode. We got 6 suggestions by the community and 1 that I picked for myself. And well, let's get in.
It's the gang we done came on. The gang.
To it. So the only album I picked for myself, as always, will be the first one, is Stay Trippy by Juicy J. Now I listened to this album purely because I went on a Juicy J Spotify page and I was like, yo, what are his most popular albums? This was the one, and I was like, okay, I've never heard a Juicy J album, let's listen to this. And actually I was blown away. The features are fantastic, the production is pretty good, and his flow and even hook making abilities are way better than I ever expected them to be. So this is a fantastic album. These 2 would probably be my favorite tracks off of the project. Check it.
Bouncing, 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 bouncing. I'm about to throw.
I'm loading up and I'm riding out. They talking shit, but they hiding out. Real niggas know what I'm talking about.
And I would overall rate it a 9 out of 10. Now, with that being said, let's get into the projects that were suggested by the community. The first one being Trash Island by Drain Gang, suggested by Cyphic. Now, with Trash Island, I could say, well, the name is pretty fitting because it is an absolutely disgusting project. But it is not. It is actually a pretty solid project. I do think that Drain Gang together are not the best trio when it comes to making a whole album. Like on songs, I think I enjoy them pretty much all the time. But if it comes to a whole project, even though this project is anything but long, I feel like they just don't have that much good energy together over 8 tracks. So I would say it is still a solid project. It still sounds good at points, but it doesn't really have any standouts. And yeah, it seems not as good as some project by each member could be. Like for example, Blade, a single Blade project could be better than this was. But still, it is a pretty solid project and it's not bad at all, so I would give it a 6.5 out of 10. Then we're going to the next project, which is HITGIRL by Dreezy, suggested by John Games YouTube. Yeah. This is the first Dreezy project I've heard, and I don't think I've ever heard of Dreezy's song before. I've obviously heard the name before, but I just didn't bump her until now. And this project also very short, not over 30 minutes long, very, very enjoyable for what it is. I think she proves that, especially for a female rapper that often can lack technical abilities, she can rap. She had some great features on there. I really like that Jeremiah feature, I really like that Future feature, and yeah, it's just overall a pretty good project. It's not anything mind-blowing, but her rapping is really solid and her hook making ability is too. Lyrically speaking, this is pretty good. Not always perfect and not mind-blowing, but you can expect that from any rapper, but really worth mentioning. So I would overall give the project a 7.5 out of 10, and these 2 would probably be my favorite tracks off of the project.
Bentley park right in the front, you can't miss me. Only cause I grabbed the Bentley keys accidentally.
I said keep in touch me, rather you here touch me. Need this G all in spot.
Then we're going to the next project, which is The Powers That Be by Def Grips, suggested by Kieran Cartwright. Now, I have never heard a Def Grips project before, and I've only heard of the group Def Grips overall because a couple of my homies listen to them, and I know Anthony Fantana was a huge fan of them. But oh lord, was this garbage. See, I don't know if my ears are just too mainstream, I'm just a casual fan, casual listener, I don't know, man. This shit sucked. Listen, if I want to listen to noise, I'm going to the construction site, I'm going to I don't know where. I'm just sitting in my house because basically there's noise all fucking day. But I'm not listening to fucking music to hear shit like this. Okay? This shit didn't sound well. The lyrics, it was hard paying attention to the lyrics, first of all. And when I paid attention, I was like, what? It was just weird overall. So, honestly, I don't think this project, besides a couple pretty interesting samples, doesn't have any qualities or anything I would go back to and enjoy. So I would overall rate the project at 3 out of 10. Thank you, and dear Anthony Fantano stands, get the fuck out of my face. Next project, we got Ray Ray's Son by Stunna for Vegas, suggested by the man, the myth, the legend, Xiao. Now, this project, it's a Stunna for Vegas project. It doesn't have any great features, although I gotta say, if the best thing about your album is a YRB Tez verse, then your album really sucks. That is the case here. And yeah, it's just overall pretty boring album. I think Stunna for Vegas was never an interesting artist. I think he had a couple okay tracks, but they were mostly carried by features, where he just had a part so short that he couldn't ruin the track. Best example, in my opinion, Up the Smoke with Offset. That was completely carried by that man. Anyway, yeah, I think the storyline of this project is quite interesting, although this son's like making a project for your mother or whatever. I feel like even though that is a sweet thing and maybe something that can be seen as something special, I've seen that a thousand times before, and I've seen it executed way better than this one. This is just a standard Stunna for Vegas project with a pretty special intro and a couple lines about his mother. Nothing really special there. So overall, I would rate it at a 4 out of 10. Just not it, in my opinion. Well, then, next project we got is Stardust by Young Lean, suggested by the man Lorson. Well, he did indeed say this is a more experimental Young Lean project, something more special for him, something a bit different. And although I can appreciate when rappers experiment and when rappers go out of their comfort zone and when rappers try new things musically and artistically speaking, I do think this project is fucking trash. Okay, fucking trash might be a bit too much because it does have a couple, okay tracks. For example, I really like that FKA Twigs feature, but besides that, it just seems really messy and it seems really forced. It seems like it's trying to be experimental just for the sake of being experimental, and without having anything really interesting to it other than the fact of being experimental. And that is something I personally don't enjoy. If there's people out there that like that, well, go for it. Just not for me. And yeah, if it wouldn't be Young Lean and if you hadn't a couple solid performances on there, it would be way worse. But it's overall, it's a 4.5 out of 10. Then we are getting to the last project of the day, which is Hounds of Love by Kate Bush, suggested by Coaster Craziness. That's a funny name, first of all. Anyway, well, this project is the first Kate Bush album I've ever heard. First of all, I think I've heard a Kate Bush song somewhere before. Somehow this girl has 40 million listeners monthly on Spotify, and that's crazy because she didn't release music in like decades. But anyway, well, I gotta say I enjoyed this album pretty much. I do think she is vocally really, really talented, but I feel like the songwriting isn't as on point as it could be on some parts of the project. For example, some tracks have kind of holes in them, like where just the music is playing, and sometimes that feels really right. That feels really well placed, and it adds to the vibe, it adds to the flow of the album, but sometimes it also feels like it was just left there and unfinished. And I don't think that's really all that good for any album. Not even less for an album that is overall not as energetic or not as attention grabbing as other projects might be. But it is still really good and at parts really enjoyable. So I would overall rate the project a 7.5 out of 10, with these two being my favorite two tracks.
It doesn't hurt me, Do you wanna feel how it feels? But to my part of your life, oh no.
Well, with that being said, thank you for listening, thank you for watching, have a great one, and see ya for the next Toxiris Discovers episode.
Remember back then, all them hoes ain't want me. Now I'm ballin', all them same hoes on me. Mama told me that this came with the money and the motherfucking fame. Even though I feel the same, I'm that nigga now. I'm that nigga now. I'm that nigga now. I'm that nigga now.